But don't you feel it's a little bit left behind?
Well,
Although there
definitely,
is,
but I am a patient guy. It's such a new industry, and I know that things move really slow. Just how it is. But I'm confident we'll get there.
yeah, for
I
sure.
see no reason that people should say no. We don't want natural hydrogen because it is the cheapest, lowest emission options out there. So, and I do think lawmakers around the world are looking at this with great interest. So we just have to
So
wait.
yeah. Are there any plans for a certain campaign to speed this up in Europe or anywhere else in the world where you want to do at least the test drillings?
No, I haven't seen anything that you could say aggressive in a good way. But
Yeah.
you in the U.S. Department of Energy through their ARPA-E organization have granted, I think it's 20 million US dollars to different projects to advance natural hydrogen. Um, and French President Macron has been out saying that since you can explore for natural hydrogen in France, we want to do this, and he says he will back the industry. We don't know exactly with what kind of money and how it should be done, but especially for France, speeding up the time it takes to get a license would be a great place to start.
Mm.
In generally, the really cool and inspiring thing with natural hydrogen is that as an industry, we don't need subsidies. We need a level playing field.
It's
But
very
industry
important.
isn't running around asking for subsidies. We're asking just to be allowed to go spend private money to explore and develop this. But then, as a society, I think, as a citizen of our a world society, I think if you look at what we're spending on other kinds of clean energy and other kinds of projects, putting just a little money to work here would have a great return on investment. One could imagine that governments spend some money on doing some test drilling and shared the knowledge with the oil industry, because right now every privately backed company drilling a well wants to keep that information private as much as possible because they might give you an edge of where to go find hydrogen. But if we drilled, which have been done for oil and gas and mining, governments or government programs drilling and sharing that data, that will be greatly valuable.
What are the potential safety concerns associated with natural hydrogen extraction?
Well, it's very similar to natural gas again because it's flammable. You need to make sure that it doesn't ignite. Uh, it's lighter than natural gas, so it will dispense into the air quickly than natural gas. But security-wise, it has to be handled well, like we do with natural gas and like we do with electrolyzers and other plants producing hydrogen.
How can natural hydrogen be integrated into existing energy infrastructure?
Well, it's there's always the option, which come across quite often, to turn it into electricity. Again, something you could do right at the wellhead, and then you will have a base load power of electricity, and that's what really needed when you have a lot of wind and solar in your grid. But the problem with this, from an investor point of view, is that the changing hydrogen into electricity doesn't give a very high return on investment unless you get a really good price for your baseload electricity. And bear in mind here that we are not talking about the normal, it doesn't make sense to produce electricity from hydrogen, because normal thinking would be that you have created the hydrogen from electricity. And this is not the case here. So
Yeah.
it isn't a waste of energy. It's probably not just the best um, way to use this valuable molecule. So the way it fits into the energy industry is, as I said before, it's all the energy that we use in our world, which is a lot that it's not connected to the grid. All the fuel needed to fuel our ships, on planes, trucks, and this could be hydrogen as it is, or it could be methanol you could put into ships, or it could be sustainable aviation fuel. This is the first place we need to go do it. You could theoretically put it in some level into the natural gas pipelines, and if that turns into reality, you have good access. A country like US have a lot of natural gas pipelines, so you can quickly get it to market and then use it mixed with the natural gas very low, or you could separate it at the other end. There are many options, but it's important to remember that I haven't seen anywhere in the world where this is done already. So you can discuss all you want that it might be possible with 5 or 10 or 20, but if the grid operators don't want to take that risk, which is definitely understandable, it's not going to be put into the grid. And by grid, I mean the big transportation grid. I'm not discussing hydrogen into gas pipes into people's homes to use for heating and cooking. In my opinion, that makes no sense at all.
How does the potential abundance of natural hydrogen influence the Danish hydrogen backbone's infrastructure plan?
Well, I'm glad you asked. I would say it doesn't influence very much, but I'm doing my best whenever I have the time, being based in Denmark. And while we haven't done any Danish investment yet, hopefully at some point we could. But I'm trying to speak to everyone who want to listen to say, let's give this a look, because we're very keen on hydrogen in Denmark, on this what we in Denmark call power to X, and the rest of the world call green hydrogen, using electricity to produce hydrogen. Um, and by accident, the backbone plant from Denmark to Germany runs through an area where you have made accidental discoveries of hydrogen, and other areas that could have potential for production, but where we haven't drilled because it isn't oil and gas relevant.